everyone, I am your host with the most, Dia, and today is part 2 of our little yap session from last week, or I guess the week before last. So yeah, I'm trying to make the video shorter this time though, for both of us. Though, if you watch our videos, let me know if you mind the longer videos, which you prefer, shorter or longer. If you will, that'd be nice. But yeah. So today, like I said, part 2 is going to be about trusting the gods. So we have loving the gods, and now we have trusting the gods. So yeah. And also, sorry about any mic pops and spiking. Last week, my last video, excuse me. I think I did find a better recording setup, so we'll see. And I'm just going to try to keep my volume under control, because I have a hard time with volume control, which is why we had those spikes. Yeah, before though, when I used to record, I clipped it on my shirt. It never been a problem, except for like the past few videos, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna try something different. But yes, let us get started. So today is about trusting the gods. I think it's definitely gonna be shorter, because I feel like I have not less to say, but... So we're gonna talk about my journey in trusting the gods. So I'm not gonna give you the full story like I did last time. But like I said, okay, we'll start with the backstory. So like before, trusting the gods had never really been a problem for me, because the thing is, I never really prayed to the gods about anything like solid and material. You know what I mean? Like praying for like recently, I did a job, but we'll get to that. But usually when I pray to the gods for I ask them for something, it's something like you technically wouldn't know if they helped you or not. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a feeling in your heart, like, oh yeah, I know, A.K.A. help me with this. You know what I mean? But it's not solid, it's not manifested solid results. So you can't see it. Like for example, I prayed to Aries for protection, and obviously nothing bad happened to me, but what if that was just a natural consequence or whatever. I mean, obviously I know Aries won't let anything bad happen to me, but you know what I mean. So stuff like that, or A.K.A Dia, I pray for under A.K.A Dia apostrophia, which means averting unlawful desires. So pray for soothing my thoughts, and I always do feel better after I pray that. But is it obviously I do believe in the gods, so I do believe that is their direct result, and obviously all good things come from the gods. But that little skeptic in me, we all have that little skeptic in us. So sometimes it feels well, did A.K.A help me, or is it just is it because of the prayer, or is it just natural progression of events? But I do think it's because A.K.A helps me with a queen. But yeah, so before trusting the gods, I did say I trust the gods, because the gods, even before my job prayer, they'd always tell me to trust them, to let go, stuff like that in messages. And we'll give some examples, don't worry, in the past. But obviously that's never been really a problem for me, because I think I said it in an Instagram post or whatever, which I will show on screen and I will read to you. Dia, don't forget to show the Instagram post. Sometimes when I'm recording these videos, I do kind of watch it all the way through, but sometimes when I'm editing, putting the physical stuff in, not cutting it down, I sometimes forget. So I should remember. I'm gonna make sure I remember, but I'm sorry if I don't. On the slim, sometimes I don't. But yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I said Instagram post. I trust the gods in the sense of I said I do trust the gods. I do deep down know it's gonna work out. But the thing I have a problem with is patience, and also just I've always had severe anxiety, diagnosed and everything, since I was a youngin'. So anxiety obviously that doesn't help. I did have the thought that I trust the gods. I know deep down everything's gonna work out, but in the moment, that's what I was struggling with. You know what I mean? And really, that the thing that happened with me getting a job was really the biggest thing on me trusting the gods. Because I said, that's the first time I ever prayed for something material like that. And I guess I've done it. I've done it more often. I do need to start doing it more often, asking for help from the gods and stuff like that. Because all good things come from the gods. I know they don't let me ask for help, stuff like that. But we're working on it. So that will definitely be more lessons in trusting the gods. So like I said, that's why I said this video is gonna be shorter, because I don't really have anything too much to say, too many experiences. Really the most biggest thing that happened was me getting that job, which I am going to lay down the process and how I got where I am trusting the gods now. So back in about 2 years ago, about a year ago though, so I started getting really worried about the fact that I might not be able to find a job, because I started thinking about, because if you know, I do wear face veils and stuff like that, and people are very weird, as we know. I remember one time I was looking up, I don't know, something, and I saw a Reddit post, people asking would y'all hire person with face veils or a person wearing a niqab, even if they had all the right, would you hire them if they had all the right qualifications? And I didn't read the comments, I know better to do that, but isn't that such BS that people are asking questions like that? Obviously I've seen other people who wear face veils, niqabis if you will, saying oh yeah, make sure you have a stable job or stable source of income before you start wearing it. So I was bruh, and obviously I didn't have that, so I was bruh. So that's when I really started getting worried, and this manifested in, of course, some good prayers to my Lord Aries. Of course, that's why I leave these stuff, but like I said, I do pray to Aries the most technically because I pray to him every day. So like that's what I mean by that. Devotee privileges, I guess. But yeah, I remember telling him about it like multiple times 'cause I was super worried, and especially as like the time came, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cooked. So then fast forward like a year later to me getting a job. I start in April because it's better to start getting a job like 2 months before you needed it. Like I mean, start looking for a job. Excuse me. And thank the God that I did that because ooh girl. So I started in April. And obviously I was going to job interview after job interview. And before, I've actually had a job before. That was about 3 years ago. And actually, so, I don't know. I'm a little, I guess I'm a little silly for this. But I thought it was going to be really easy because I got that job that I had in the past. I got it. It was the first job I interviewed for. I got it on the first interview. Praise the gods for that. But I think they're just desperate. I mean, I think they're just desperate for people. Which is nothing wrong with it, you know. But yeah, I'm just going to say, I did get that job on the first, like, interview. So I was, like, really confident in my ability to get a job, I guess. So I was like, oh yeah, the first, second, or third interview, I should get the job. Little did I know. So then I go to the first interview. I don't get the job. They never even call me back. The thing with jobs around here, especially I don't know if this is all over the place, but like places do not call you back. Like even I went to my doctor and the nurse was telling me that her daughter's looking for a job and she cannot find one. Like people do not call her back. Like my sister's looking for a job too. Like the first place they never called her back. So I don't even know what's going on, bro. But yeah, places they do not call you back. So I was like, okay. So I was really so confident in my ability to get my job on the first, second try that I was really like, oh yeah, if I get accepted to both these jobs, which one should I take? And little did I know, I got accepted to neither of those jobs. So that really worried me. So, but as I went to more interviews and did more applying for jobs and looking for jobs, I started getting more and more worried because like I wasn't getting all these jobs. I was not doing good on all these. I was doing good on I was doing good on interviews. Like one thing about me, I'm great at interviews. Not gonna lie, but I wasn't getting the job obviously. Obviously I know now, because like even some of the jobs I was qualified for, so I know now that I prayed to my deity. I prayed to Lord Aries and Lord Hermes, like I said in my last video, because Lord Hermes, because he's the one you pray to for like job stuff, and then Lord Aries, I was always planning to pray to him to me get a job because he's the deity I'm closest to, and you know, I wanted, yeah, you know what I mean? So it was both of them. And also it was a votive prayer, which means votive prayers are where you, like, if you do X for me, I'll give you Y. So I was like, if you help me get a job, if you do, I will buy you both something with my first paycheck, which I did come through for, obviously. But yeah, so that's what a votive offering is. I was praying to them for that, and I was really worried. So now I know it's because the reason I didn't get the jobs, even though the ones I was very qualified for, is obviously because those jobs weren't meant for me. I prayed to them to help me get the best job that will be like the best for me, that's meant for me. So yeah, stuff like that. So then that's like I realized that now, but in the moment, even though I thought that, like I was like, okay, no harm's gonna come to me. It's just I didn't get the jobs because I wasn't meant for the jobs, like, you know what I mean. But I was still very worried because, you know, I have anxiety, and also people in my life weren't helping. My mom wasn't helping. Like she was trying to tell me I'm not gonna get a job anywhere. Which thanks for that, mom. I don't know. She was on one, bruh. But yeah, she was trying to tell me I was not gonna get a job anywhere. So I was like, okay. But yes, I was very confident. I knew I was gonna get a job eventually because, like, deep down, even if I felt like really anxious about it, I knew that Lord Aries and Lord Hermes, of course, were not gonna let me down. I was like really worried about it. This resulted in like obviously deity messages. I'm telling you, like, chill the frick out, bruh. And also Instagram posts I made. But first we'll start the deity messages. So we're gonna look back at the messages I got from my deities and see what's in them and see like what they said, because I don't remember like any specific message that stood out to me. So those are the messages from April and May, because I did get the job that I have now in June. Also, there is a job that I did get, but what happened with that job is this really is BS. So I got the job and they're like, hey, you got the job, and I was like, oh, thank you. But they're like, okay, so when are you available? I'm like, okay, I'm actually going on a trip for about like a week and I'll come back. And they're like, okay, after you come back from the trip, we'll do all your stuff. They said, so they told me I got the job. They even like wrote down my size for the shirt, stuff like that. And then when I get back home after the week, I'm like, okay, they didn't call me yet. I'll call them. I was like, hey, do you still want me to come in like on Saturday or whatever to do the thing, like the onboarding? And they're like, oh, actually, because you were gone a week, we gave the job to a different person, which is such BS. So that made me feel really bad, like not good. So I was straight tripping on that one. But yeah, so that like didn't help my confidence. But I just want to get that story real quick. So yeah, we're gonna look back. We'll start with Aries because he's always the one that's gonna. I mean, obviously all my deities give really good messages, but I'm very curious what he was saying because he's the one like I mostly pray to. So we're gonna look at April and May. I don't remember exactly when I started looking for a job. I think it was toward the end of April. So we're gonna look at not the start. Well, let me look at them real quick. Okay, so this one was the middle of the month message that I do with Lord Aries. And this one, really nothing too big on like trusting the gods and stuff like that. But one of the messages was stepping back to let things happen, and also having faith in my relationships, and having faith specifically, this is from Lord Aries, and my devotion and my devotee status with Lord Aries, stuff like that. Basically, I have faith in him because I am devoted to him, stuff like that. That is a calm message. That is a calm message I get, especially back in the day. Oh yes, this one. Okay, so this one was, I think this is when I really started worrying and like start struggling with my faith, because that's basically what it is. I'll read the Instagram post to you, because I definitely describes it better than I'm about to describe it, but struggle with my faith and stuff like that. So this was the end of the month message. It was one of the things was what do I need to step back from, and one of the things that I said that one of the things I need to step back from was believing that faith and trust is a long journey away. It's basically like it's gonna take like a while, but to embrace letting go of worry and stress. And then the major accomplishment that I actually had was having faith that everything will work out. Like I told you, that's one thing. One of my major accomplishments was having faith that everything's going to work out. Like I told you, this is always one of the things that I'm definitely good at, but like in the moment. Advice and encouragement was reach out for help. That's funny. Okay, let's get into May. Nothing really too big. So this is on the 9th of May, 2024, from this year. One of the names we had was Eli, which means my God is an oath, and then Samuel, which means name of God or God has heard. So obviously you can see where this is coming in to my prayer to him. We have the name Omar, which means flourishing, long lived. Ayub, which means to return to God. And then one of the messages was to be patient because good things are coming in my life, and also the God listens to me and all that good stuff. So yeah, nothing like too really big on it. But this was okay, now this was actually like for the specific situation I wanted to get like sometimes when I'm feeling like struggling with something, I get a comfort message. So this is on the 18th, right? Well, it was on the 17th actually. And it's basically just comfort message and support, because I was like I said, this was in May, so this was like in the middle of me trying to find a job. So I was really struggling. And this is like the middle towards of May, so that means I've been looking for a job for like a whole month now. So we have the name Modesto, which means moderate, restrained, humble, modest. We have Edvards, which means guardian of prosperity. We have Constanzo, which means steadfast. So this message is so funny to me because it just reminds me of that era and like how I was acting. That's just like one of the messages that Aries gave me. I'll explain in a second, but let me go through the names first. We have Lino again, not that Lino. A cry of grief, Amadeo, which means to love God. We have Ulysses, to be angry to hate. And then we have, oh my gosh, let's see if I got this one. I think these are Italian names. So Gioacchino, God will establish. Marta, which means dedicated to Mars. So this was also one of the messages. So the whole message from this thing was basically Aries telling me stuff like, don't worry about what people say about me, because like I said, especially like my mom, she was really like putting like fear in me that I was never gonna get a job, because she was like steady telling me I was not gonna get a job. So I was like low-key starting to believe it. So one of the messages here was to not like pay attention to what other people say about me. For example, one of the names like was Danielle, which means God is my judge. And I'll read you what I said here, or like what I took away from it. I shouldn't worry about what other people say about me, especially my mom, because I only have to worry about what the gods say, lol. All I have to worry about is if the gods are content with me. And then, so one of the things that he told me that this always makes me laugh because it just reminds me of the era and how I was acting, is I was like, so obviously I was very worried about getting a job, so that started like manifesting into my behaviors. That's where the name Ulysses comes from. So like I said, to be angry to hate. So what he was telling me, and with the name also Modesto, which means to be moderate, he was telling me try to be more moderate in my moods and my thoughts, and be restrained, and try to be more content. Because I've never been ungrateful, but you know, when you're worried about something, sometimes you know, try to be more content with what I have and think about the good in my life. Just work hard to replace the hard and bad thoughts with the good ones. And then the last message was remember that who I'm devoted to, and the promises he made to me and stuff. I'm a very fortunate person and good things will come to me. I'm all taken care of and everything will work out. So that's where this message comes from. This is like the middle of it. So this is actually what I actually asked for message to basically comfort me on the situation. And you know, yeah. And then June where I actually got the job. I got the job on June 10th. So I don't think this is going to be, this is after I got the job. So yeah, that's really it. So that's Aries. That's the Aries take on the situation. Let's just look at Hermes to see if Hermes had anything important to say. So Hermes, we have one in May again. This was on May 9th also. One of the messages that honestly Hermes always gives me is one of patience. Like I said in the last video, if you watched the last video, which you should, basically I was talking about how I associate my deities with certain messages, and I definitely associate Hermes with messages of being patient because he always tells me that, which is so funny. And also like connect with the divine and stuff like that. This message was, I just have to have patience and strength to remember that I'm gonna be okay. I'm able to get through any hard times. I just have to have strength. Yeah, the message is just being patient and stuff like that. The end of the month message from April was talking about how you step away from fearing the worst or being discouraged when things like don't go my way, like I said, not getting the jobs, that the painful feelings will pass, and then releasing myself from disappointment. So basically, at this point, I'm not getting the job that I interviewed for, excuse me. And then Aphrodite and Apollo, they probably did have some stuff to say on it, but like nothing too big, honestly, with them probably. Of course, Aphrodite, she was telling me so I need to work on. My personal growth was trusting the divine. Oh, this was also the May one. Trusting the divine, letting go of my problems to the divine, and being open to things. Also, don't delay the inevitable, knowing that I need to go through uncomfortable situations to grow. What do I need to, so this one, what can I do to break free from patterns that no longer serve me? Remind myself that I will always be delivered from bad situations and that good things will always come. So the Aphrodite, that was that message. For end of April, just again having strength to overcome and like letting go of stuff. And then for Apollo, let's see. So what do I need to focus on right now for my personal growth? Not being held back by fear and negative opinions. Release my control on stuff. Do things that I like. Be grateful for what I have and know that I am worthy. Okay, this is really cool. This is like this is like a divination method I like to do. It's kind of like shufflemancy, but instead what I do is I scroll through the video and stop it on place. And whatever lyric is playing, I take that lyric. I need to do it more often because it's super fun. So here's what this message said. It says, Skyfall is where we start. Somebody else might take my place. I'd say he needs medicine. Honey, the sweeter the sun. That's it, that's it, that's it. So basically this message, these are from five different songs. So basically it was saying the hard times are where we start. So Skyfall is where we start. And Skyfall in general is just about being able to survive battles. The hard times is where we start. Everybody struggles. There are ways and remedies to help. So I say he needs medicine. The harder times are, the better the reward. Honey, the sweeter the sun, which is from No Plan, which the harder the rain, honey, the sweeter the sun, I think the lyric is. The general advice he gave me, or the names. So we have Omer, which means populous, flourishing, thriving, long living. Shugwudi, which means God exists, there is God. Amos, which means load a burden carried by God. Valerie, which means to be strong, strength. Health, brave, fierce. So yeah, so that was the messages from my deities during those hard times. And now I'll tell you about the Instagram post I made. If you want to see it for yourself, make sure to follow me on Instagram. It's linked in the description. Also, it's just the same name that I have on here, I think. No, wait, no, it's not. Sorry, I use the same name for everything. I forgot I forgot what my channel is called. It's just at Dia Day 333. But again, it's in the description, so I will show it on the screen. Okay, remember Dia, don't forget. We're editing Dia. But yes, it says lately. So like you'll see it if you'll look at the screen. So lately, I've been struggling with faith. While it feels awful for me to admit, it's important to be honest. I trust the gods in their will completely, but it's just patience that I struggle with. And as patience is a big part of faith, if I don't have patience with the gods, then do I truly have faith in the gods? While I would say so, I'm also a very anxious person. I've had severe anxiety ever since I was little, so these worrying thoughts are hard to shake. The difference between now and then is that I'm aware of the God's presence in my life. And I'm not making this to shame myself or anyone else. We're human, we're naturally scared and doubtful. This is the first time I prayed for something so big. I'm sure the gods have answered my prayers in the past, but as they weren't physical things, I can never be sure. Like I said at the start of the video, but us humans trust what's in front of us. We only know the present. Even when everything works out, part of me can't help but think, what if it was just the natural progression of time? What if when I get this thing, it's just because I had to get it eventually? We, as humans, are fallible and imperfect. Remember, if the gods can love us and work to help us, why should we hate ourselves? Tomorrow may be unknown, but the gods are always certain. And then, I will actually read you a quote from a book that I did screenshot on my phone when I was struggling during that time, because it did help me in the moment. Here it is. It's from the book Secrets of Divine Love. It's really good. So I'm gonna read you the whole thing, the whole paragraph. Islamic sages have said faith is comprised of two things. One half is patience, and the other half is gratitude. Patience is a necessary element of fostering faith, because sometimes it takes time to unveil the divine purpose behind God's will. Patience and true reliance on Allah lead to gratefulness, because when we understand that God always wants better for us than we can ever imagine for ourselves, we are naturally inclined towards being grateful. To have iman is to believe that although the future is unknown, our God is known and forever faithful. To have faith is to proclaim that although we don't know what tomorrow will hold, we know that God is already there, embracing and protecting our souls. So that's that post and also that. So yeah, but after that, what I did was I just tried to like calm the frick down, and I think it definitely worked. I have really bad memory, so I can hardly remember anything from like yesterday. So I'm trying to remember how I acted, but I think I was definitely like more calm after that. But I was definitely more calm after I did get that one automated writing message with Aries, which I did mention in my last video, so I'm not going to read anything from it like I did from last video. Basically, that was also about him just reminding me that he's like not going to ignore me. Like he said, make sure you watch the video, because it is a part 2. And basically it was him saying like that he's never going to ignore me. I'll read you the quote again because I'm nice. No, the first half was just him telling me that like he doesn't hate me. The second half was him trying to reassure me in the situation, because this is scary. So he said, I want you to know that you are in a difficult place and you cannot see ahead of you. It is a dark place, I know that. It is scary. I am with you. You have asked for my help and you will receive. Which is so nice. We love Lord Aries. I'm smiling again, bruh, and he's calmed down. I would never let you suffer and go to the wayside. Do not worry. I think you fear my ignoring you, but that will never happen. And then he said, I do not hate you. It's just so funny. He basically said he's going to protect me always, so that's where that came in. So I felt a lot better after that. I've been a lot better since then, like I said, with love and stuff like that. But yeah, with trusting the gods, I'm definitely a lot more better at it, I will say. Like I said, I haven't prayed for something like since that, like to like see physical results. The next thing I'm gonna pray for another big thing soon, which is gonna happen. It's going to a polo this time, which is gonna be scary, but it's gonna be okay. But that's really it. So thank you for listening to me. I hope you learned something about trusting the gods and stuff like that. This video probably gonna be shorter. Hopefully, the recording says 35 minutes. So we're gonna read the hymn like I told you in last video. It's just gonna be the same one as last time because it fits. It's all the gods and stuff like that. Since we are technically talking about all the gods. So yes, again, the Proclus hymn to all the gods. Listen, O gods, who sit at the helm of wisdom, who kindle the fire of the spirit in the souls of mortal men, drawing them up to the deathless ones out of the shadowy hole, purified by the sacred rites of hymns. Hear, mighty saviors, scatter the mist and grant me your holy light that comes from sacred books, that I might know well the difference between a man and an immortal God. And do not allow a spirit doing evil things to hold me down in the streams far from the blessed ones. And let not cold punishment bind me in the bonds of life, fallen in the waves of cold becoming, unwilling to wander long. But God's master of bright, shining wisdom, hear. Reveal to me as I ascend the path that leads upwards, the rites and initiations of sacred words. Again, thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, you are the homie, like I said in the last video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This part 2. Next videos are gonna be very exciting for me. I'm not gonna spoil it because like the mysterious and all that, but they're gonna be very exciting and very fun videos for me to make. So I'm very excited to start recording those. But I have to write a script for them. So yeah. Remember, the gods love you and they care for you, and trust the gods and trust that everything will work out, which is the whole message of this video. Remember to praise the gods and thank them. Remember to be grateful for all that you have, even when you're struggling. And bye.